Hi folks, long time no record. Basically the reason for that is really hasn't been anything to record, but while I'm talking, because I haven't prepared very well for this, I'm running out of daylight and I wanted to try to get a video out, and so I'm gonna start the Karoo, I think. So it's January 13th, 2019. This software update, this is the ATG software update that came out on Friday, the 11th of January. So I'm babbling here because I didn't write down and I don't have any notes written. It's very cold today. It's 28 degrees right now, Fahrenheit. I'm gonna go out for maybe an hour if I can last that long. Kitted up about as well as I can be for this weather. The good news is that there's really not a lot of wind right now. It's relatively calm, so it should be okay for an hour. But I wanted to give this a test out, so hopefully while this is starting up here, I'm going to be able to, sorry, the GoPro's turning off on me. I'm going to be able to put up some information about the update itself. So I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. I guess we could look it up here. About if it would record presses. So the build number is 1.21.495, I believe, 3. I have my glasses on, but I'm having trouble reading that, so maybe it's 485, something in that neighborhood. And you will have noticed immediately there's a fairly significant change to the interface. I don't know what this warning is. It's warning me about logging in, but it does seem to have my pages. And it does seem to have my routes, so I'm not really sure what I'm missing by login. Maybe I'm going to have a problem when I get back uploading this to Strava. That's assuming everything even records. So, let me, I guess, show you the pages interface really quickly, because this is a fairly significant change. Not sure I love it. People have said they like it so far. The reviews have been pretty good from other users. I am not convinced. So this is the main page. So there's no way, at least in here anymore, to add and remove fields, data fields directly. So what you have to do is you have to go into this edit screen, and this is, in my opinion, not terribly intuitive. The nice thing is that you can drag these around, so you can hopefully you can see that from the angle that I'm filming at, and the it's weird because both of those numbers are 42, so one is heart rate and one is normalized power. I have no idea why it's showing all the same numbers there. It is bouncing around here, and I think that's just for display purposes because it's obviously not 7 o'clock at night. So I think it's just kind of showing you some numbers so you can see what it looks like. Immediately, I don't like the justification of these, so I think they should all be centered on the page, or centered in the column that they're in. I'm hoping that's an easy thing or something that's an option. But there's no, I think what I don't like is that there's no immediate indication, or at least there wasn't when I started to do this. So this is let's see, this is 10 data fields. If you wanted to have 12 on a page, that seems to be the maximum that you're allowed, is 12. And if you want to add one, you press on that button and you can, I'm just going to add one for a second just to show you. I'm not going to keep this many on the page. So you can see that's pause time that I just added. What I couldn't figure out for quite a while, and maybe I'm just dopey, or maybe it's just not that intuitive, there's no button on that on any of these data fields. Like if I was to go to drag this around, and it's not recording my finger right now. Wow. So I don't know if my fingers are cold or if the device is cold. So what you saw me do there is double tap. So if you want to drag it around, you just kind of click on it and drag it around. I'm assuming the little pencil symbol is for editing, and the X is for deleting it. And there it goes. So it did take. But it's a little weird in that you can continue to scroll this way, and you have a choice of 2 large and 2 small. 1 large and 4 small. Then once you get up to when you're having 8, you don't really have a choice that one of them is big, and these are how the pages are laid out. So you don't have a ton of flexibility, I guess, in the size of any individual field. Maybe that's still coming, maybe not sure. But don't like the justification. I'm not crazy about the lines around each of the fields. But I haven't ridden with it yet, so I guess we should give it the benefit of the doubt right now. It also seems like I'm not on dark mode, although maybe I will be when I ride. So this is how you add and remove fields from the pages. The map doesn't show it here great, although they claim that there's more map contrast. So I guess, again, we'll have to do the ride and see. I am going to try to follow a route today. It's my usual 1-hour route around my area. And I'm already starting to shiver, so I should probably get moving and then maybe pause during the ride, or just give you a summary when I get back in case I see anything. I'm not sure that this ride is going to be long enough to give any indication of whether they fix the stutteriness of the so navigation cues are on. Not sure if this is going to be good enough to like I said, do anything about the stutteriness at that the data fields start to get after a certain time. I did have to bust out the bike, my road bike, which is why this setup looks a little funny. It's not ideal, but I had already switched some of my equipment, or some of my mounts and things, to my cyclocross bike, which I'm hoping to use for the rest of the winter, mostly because maintenance and stuff is a little bit easier on it, because it's a 1x drivetrain and stuff like that. So the one thing I noticed here is that this if you choose to have the elevation profile, and that's what it's starting to display here, you basically have to have data elements. You can't just have the elevation profile. You have a choice of 4 data elements or 2 data elements. There's no choice like there was back there on the map where you don't display any data elements. Trying to see what else I remember. The other thing that seems odd, and I guess we'll have to see it in practice, are so these circular charts with the power numbers in them, they also appear to be left justified, and those in larger, if you put them in larger fields, those are often, I think this one is this one. Can't remember what I have here. Right, so they're kind of, they go back and forth if you have them in larger data fields, I guess, for lack of a better, or not really sure how to describe this, but anyways, so I think what we'll do is so I should show the new start behavior. So this takes a second to understand as well. You don't just tap on this. So if you tap on this is very odd to me, and I'm not sure why this button is labeled the way it's labeled, but you get to choose your pages and you get to choose your route. So I'm going to do this now. This is the usual loop from home, and I'm going to back out of this just to see for a second, to see if it maintains that. Okay, so it does. But if you do view ride, it will go into the ride. It will go into the ride page. Now I haven't started this ride yet, so you still have to hit the button, or I think it's tap on. Yeah, does it tap on? There's 2 different ways to start the ride, and it's been so long since I rode with this device, I can't remember what they are. I think I'm going to exit this. So the other way is if you have basically the same bike all the time, and you have the same, and you don't necessarily ride a route. The other thing you can do, and now it dropped the route on me, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. But if you want to just start a ride and you don't care about which profile is selected or which route you're on, you just hold this button, and you can see there's a circular animation, it flashes, and you're immediately into the ride. If you don't want to do that, and you do want to select different options, you tap it once, it brings you into this. You can pick your ride or your route and your pages, and then you press view ride. I don't know why this isn't start ride or get ready or what it is. So good news, I guess, is that it did flash up the turn-by-turn directions. So I'm going to turn off the GoPro now after almost 10 minutes of yabbering, and I will stick it in my back pocket and we'll go for a ride. I may stop at my usual stop down by the water, and if there's anything to talk about, or maybe just to give you a quick update, to see if turn-by-turn is working. Again, I'm not sure if this ride is going to be long enough to give any indication of whether they fixed some of the stutteriness of some of the data fields, but I guess we'll find out. Hi folks, so hopefully you can see and hear me right now. I'm going to slow down before I get to the next intersection. But what you can see here is the new off-route behavior. So when you're off your planned route, and I did that purposefully, I usually do on this when I'm testing a new version and riding this route. But you can see it changes the color of the turn signal from red to blue. I thought it was going to put a blue path on the map as well. Hopefully this video is steady enough that you can actually see the new map contrast as well while moving. It is basically, it looks like what they did was they darkened the background or the map itself, and they left the roads kind of a bright white or gray. There was an odd color on the map a while ago too. It was like a kind of a yellow haze. I think it was around a school zone, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm coming up on a turn right now, so I'm gonna probably turn the GoPro off, but you can kind of see this new behavior, and there actually is a blue line. It's still trying to route me backwards. Let me see if I can keep going here without getting in trouble. This is a hill, so I'm gonna get a little breathy here. I'm hoping that that blue line changes to be in front of me fairly soon, because I think it's still trying to route me back. And what it should figure out very, very soon is that straight ahead is the best way to go. You can see it's got a turn there to the right into this neighborhood. It may take me quite a ways up this hill, and you don't want to hear me breathing this heavy in January, so pick this up back at home. Hi folks, so the ride is done. We're in my not heated but out of the weather garage. I kind of lied about the weather. I was being protected a little bit by the garage, so when I took off down the road I got hit by a wind. So survived. Don't think I'm frostbitten, but pretty darn cold today. That's really the very limit, I think, of my cycling kit, that temperature. I have 3 upper layers on, shoe covers, thick socks, head cover. My helmet actually has a windshield on it. I have a neck gaiter on, and this 20 whatever degrees it was is really pushing the limit, especially with no sun. I think it would have been better in the sun. I'm showing this page quickly because oh crud, I just lost the temperature. So I had flipped to this page a couple of times during the ride because I wasn't convinced that the temperature was correct. It read the same exact temperature for the whole ride, which seems unusual as the clouds have come in and the day is waning here. It says 28.4 now, but that's inside my garage. It was reading 26.6 most of the ride. It does look like the ride recorded. I showed earlier how it denoted changes in your route if you're off route. There was also a small bar about the thickness of that pause bar that appeared over the turn-by-turn to sort of let you know that you had left the course, and then there was another one that was colored. I don't remember what the first one was colored. It might have been red. The second one, when I returned to the route, was colored in green, and it let me know that I was back on course, so that's good and an improvement. I will say that I like the font here, the new font. I still think they're not fully taking advantage of some of these boxes as far as size goes. Like, you can see how much space there is between 37 and the power indicator. I would also really like to see these centered. To me, I don't know, aesthetically, to me, this does not look great. Also down here, and it's hard to see because, or down where the time is, it's hard to see because the pause symbol is covering most of it, but it says 0403 instead of 403. So I think, you know, if you have military time set and that was 1603, it would be one thing. Where I have it set to AM PM and it's displaying PM, I don't think the 0 should be there. It's just a minor thing. The ride data looks okay. Cadence is obviously showing at 0 right now. Speed is showing at 0. I'm not sure why the 3-second average power is showing at 37 since I've been sitting here for quite a while. Turn by turn there, flash for a second. So this again is the new, I guess the new, excuse me, display for the map, what they're calling the high contrast map. It does seem to be quite a bit better. I actually have no idea what those little scribble lines are there. That should be the highway, but I don't know why it's so. There are a couple of way stations up there, so maybe that's what it's displaying, and that other white road is the service road on the other side of the highway. That looks different to me. This is the elevation profile, and it's all screwed up because I once again forgot to reset my elevation in the middle of the ride, or at the beginning of the ride, so it's off by close to 200 feet. This is the power display. You've seen this before. Obviously it's 0 because I'm sitting still. This does kind of change color as you go through different power zones. This is speed, and it's obviously, or average speed. I still think they need to take advantage of these corners. If you're gonna have average speed here, maybe have instantaneous speed and distance or something up there, or make it user configurable. This is my, I guess, power and heart rate page, so it's displaying the power zones and my current heart rate, which is going down slowly. This is the general power chart, and of course now this is going to show nothing because I've been stationary for so long. Again, these icons and not the icons, but the fonts and stuff are bigger, they're better. I just think, like, even here you can see 5831. That could be, maybe they're accounting for hours at some point, but I still think it. Hi folks, so apologies for the quick interruption there. What happened is that the GoPro filled up, the memory filled up on the GoPro, and I had to stop recording. So it's actually the next day, it's Monday, January 14th. I just thought I'd give you a quick look at this. I don't really think I'm going to go through it line by line because basically you've seen everything. So I guess what I would suggest, I'm just going to scan this up here quickly in lieu of putting it at the front of the video, and you can kind of pause the video if you want to read all of this stuff. There's stuff about data fields, there's stuff about new field management, which I think I sort of showed some of the off-route messages that I think I talked about in the garage before I got cut off. Ant support, which I'm not sure what that means. Screen no longer turns off. Some of this I'm sort of reading for the first time myself. Anyway, so there are some bug fixes that does appear, and I'm going to flip over to Golden Sheet in a second, but it does appear that, and I can't really tell because when the problems that I was having about a month ago with the recording of the data started anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour, and I only rode for just under an hour yesterday, so I don't know if that was kind of a hard barrier for when the problems started, or if some of these bug fixes that they've reported here have actually corrected things. So, but what I will show in a second is that the data looks better. At least the last 20 minutes of it does actually look better. I don't see the kind of dropouts, and I didn't see it while I was riding either, although honestly it was so cold, and it actually got colder as I was riding, that I was mostly just concentrating on getting my butt home and not actually having any problems because of the cold. It was actually hard to see because the like tears were forming in my eyes that were almost freezing on me. So that is really 25 degrees or so Fahrenheit is really the absolute limit of my clothing. I think I mentioned, or I started to mention, that probably would have been fine if it had been sunny and that temperature, and but the wind wasn't helping either. The wind that I thought wasn't there because I was being protected by my house and my garage. Actually, once I turned the corner and headed down the street, I definitely felt the wind. So, but I'll give you guys a chance. You can read this yourselves. Let me flip over to Golden Sheet quickly and just kind of show this. this is the whole ride, and this is about the 40-minute mark right here. You can read it for yourself. This is about where problems would have started. This is a legitimate stop. I did stop here. This is the beach that I usually stop at, and I was going to record briefly there, but the wind was off the water, cold. There was actually somebody standing on the platform that I used, so I didn't really feel like it was going to happen for me to record at that point. I'm not sure. This is a little cadence drop here. I think this is downhill. So yeah, this must be, yeah, so this is high speed. So this was all downhill. There's a pretty good size hill, and I think one of the recordings I was doing, I kind of cut the recording just as I started to climb that hill. So that's probably all just me coasting down the hill. So that looks normal. And then these are just, I think, again, hills near home as I'm closing in on home. So not everything about this looks relatively normal for that ride. I don't know what these extra dots are here. The only thing I haven't looked at yet while we're talking is the well, I didn't look at the map. That's fine. What I didn't look at is if I was getting any of these weird, and I still think this still seems weird to me that these numbers are so gigantic. But let me scroll towards the bottom and see if because it really was you can see how the power and cadence are very consistent here. They're whole numbers. What I mean by consistent is that they're whole numbers. And then what was happening previously was that, I thought I just saw something, so I was going to scroll back up. Nope, this looks, let's get all the way to the bottom. This actually looks clean. So what I was starting to see were weird, and I'm pretty sure that's what I was starting to see, was really weird high decimal place numbers. I still think these speed numbers are ridiculous, and I still wonder if the fact that these numbers are so large is causing calculation problems. I mean, you wouldn't think it would, it's just math, but if they're doing average calculations and they're having to go down to these, millions, hundreds of millions of decimal places, it does seem weird. Oh, I was trying to expand that column and see how big those. Yeah, see the fact that the numbers end in 1, way out here in whatever the heck position this is, does seem a little weird. And then there's these other ones that round to, that are 999. I mean, to me, 2 decimal places would be more than enough for speed. 3 if you really wanted to get crazy. Like this is, if you're getting down to the thousandths of speed here. I mean, for anybody but a pro that's got to dig really deep into data. I don't know. Anyways, the distance sort of makes sense, although again, it's putting. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I guess I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. This is long enough. So hopefully this was useful. Hopefully what did record before I ran out of space on the GoPro is helpful. As always, if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching.